Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Pioneer Academy podcast. Today, I have a special guest with me, a person that I personally appreciate, an author of many books. One of them that I was just mesmerized by what is written. And today, I have the privilege to receive him this evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let us welcome Mr. Franck Mbedja. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. What about you?
I am fantastic. You know, I was waiting for this moment a long time ago because I have a bunch of questions that I will ask you about what I've read in one of your amazing books. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss about the recent book that our author, Franck Mbedja, just published a couple weeks ago, I think, a couple months ago. A couple months ago. And so this book is really amazing. It is amazing for the simple fact that it's a book that is really dedicated to African immigrants in the United States. As an African American, as an African immigrant, I was really triggered to read about this book because we come here in America with dreams. We come here with aspirations and many things that we want to accomplish. But this wonderful man went out of the box to think about things that we never take time to pause and think about it. So today, I am really happy. We are going to go deep in this book and trying to find the hidden treasure that is here. So I will start with my first question, sir. What did lead you to write this amazing book?
First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I feel like we have been planning to do this thing for many times. But the fact that we are really busy, we always postpone. But I'm so grateful that you decided to find time in your busy schedule to kind of come over so that we can get this thing done. And I strongly believe that people actually want to know or need to know what or why I decided to write this book.
Yes.
I'm going to start with a simple story, you know. When I got to the United States, was 2018. I was so happy. For me, it was like a dream that came true because, you know, based on what you have been exposed in Africa, either through movies, music and stuff like that, you feel like America is that promised land, you know, it's a promised land. So when I got my visa and I got to the United States, I was so happy, I was relieved, I was like, no, now my life is about to start, until I started working. So I was working in the company, in one company in my city, and that company was a great one. And during that time, I worked there for like what, a month and a half or so. Okay. So when I was working there, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, white American, black American, and African. So it was like in the department they sent me to, I met someone there that really caught my attention. It was an old man, an old African man from Ghana. He was about 70 years old. And that man was kind of doing the same job I was doing. He was kind of struggling to do the job because at that age, you know, you don't have the energy anymore to kind of do that kind of job. So that man was struggling, but he was there every day. And he caught my attention. And one day I decided to approach him. And I asked him politely, why are you still working? Why? Because in Africa, it's not easy to see someone that old who is still working.
Yes, for sure.
At this time, at that age, the person is just home relaxing, and maybe his children are taking care of him, or maybe he has like some kind of his pension that he saved or his money saved during while he was working, and he's living out of it. So, but here, I was intrigued at why at this time he's still working. And I decided to talk to him. And he told me he's still working because he has a lot of responsibility. And I was like, you're 70. I'm sure that most of your children are grown already. I strongly believe that most of them are maybe doing their own stuff already. He said, yes, but I have my car note to pay. I have my house mortgage to pay. I have a lot of bills. I have a lot of responsibility even in Africa that I have to handle. And that answer kind of broke my heart. I asked him again. I asked him, how long have you been to the United States? He said, I've been here for 30 years. So it means that he came here when he was 40. And he spent 30 years of his life. And 30 years later, he's still doing the same thing he was doing when he just arrived here. And I said, no, that cannot be possible. And so I started looking around me, because I used to be in a lot of African community, hang out with a lot of African, and I noticed the same cycle, the same problem. People cannot actually enjoy America they came to. They can't enjoy the money they make. They can't enjoy their family. They can't enjoy anything. And some of them go to the extent that even die while working. And I said to myself, is this really America I've been seeing in Hollywood movies or music industry while I was in Africa? It's based on that story, on that experience that I had with that man and many other people that I've met, that I decided to write this book. Because I want African immigrants in the United States to decide if America is going to be an Eldorado that they dream of, or a nightmare or a graveyard that they can escape from.
The title has really well been chosen, so I'm really impressed by the story behind this amazing book. Yeah. So that leads me to a question, because I know you personally, yeah, and I know you spent 10 years in Europe. Yeah. You had the chance to see African in different settings than America, in different Western countries than America. And I have this question: what is the difference between African immigrant in America and African immigrant in other Western countries? Because it seems like you are talking more about America, but you have been to different countries than America. Exactly. So what is the difference?
Exactly. Thank you for this question. I like to highlight the fact that the time I spent in Europe, I was not working. Okay. So it was not easy for me to meet people or African who were actually working. I was most of my time with students. Okay. So I never had the opportunity to really experience what it means to be an immigrant, African immigrant in Europe, African immigrant in France or in Belgium. Those who are working, they might not have the same exact story as African immigrant in the United States, but they have the same cycle. I don't think like African immigrant in the United States are that different from African immigrant in Europe, those who work, those who are working. Me, I can't really talk much about those in Europe who work, because I was a student. So, and those who were students were not struggling, because our parents provided for us. We had allowance every end of the month. All our job was to go to school. So we didn't really experience what it was to kind of struggle or go through what most African immigrants who work in Europe are going through. But I strongly believe that they are going, as I said, they are going through the same struggle, because some of them go through a lot to get to Europe. Some of them go through the desert. Some of them go through water. Some of them go through crazy stuff just to get there. And sometimes when they get there, they can't find the job they need, because sometimes they don't have documents. They don't have what they need to kind of be established and have that life they decided to follow, to go after. So I will say there's a difference between African immigrants who go to Europe to study, and those who come to the United States to work. There is kind of a little bit different, but those who go to Europe to look for a better life the same like those who come to the United States to look for a better life. They almost have the same pattern. They always have the same pattern. Yeah, so.
Thank you so much. So that leads me to this question. I go downtown, I travel to New York, I go to different places. I see homeless, I see misery in America. It's so crazy to talk about that, but you go to places where you ask yourself, am I still in America? And I would like to quote Bernie Sanders. He says something very important that you also quoted in your book. You say, for many, the American dream has become a nightmare. But why do Africans bend over backwards to come to America when citizens of that same country are talking about a nightmare and misery pretty much everywhere?
Okay, I will say there are different factors. There are different factors to that, and I will start with one. It's true that American, when you speak, for example, or you talk with Americans who were born here or will live here, they give you a different story. Yes. They will tell you how America is hard, how some of them will want to leave the country, how poverty is everywhere. But from an African perspective, we don't really see it that way. Why? Because of where we are coming from. Okay. Where we are coming from, misery. So I remember one of my friends that I used to have in Africa used to tell me he preferred to be poor in the United States than to be rich in Africa.
Wow, that's a shocking statement.
Exactly. He was like, and he went to the extent, I said he preferred to be in jail in the United States than to be free in Africa.
Wow.
So basically everything we see, everything that kind of show you the kind of mindset of the resilience we have based on the environment we live in, based on the background we have, based on the reality of life we have in Africa. And on the other side, whatever we see on TV, we see in music and stuff like that, we don't believe that whatever America say or Americans say is true. We want to taste it, we want to see it, we want to touch it. And you will see that some African who came here before, they don't do a good job. Why? Because of the kind of stuff they post on social media, for example.
That is the thing.
There is no way you're gonna sit in the beautiful restaurant, having an iPhone Pro Max or driving a beautiful car, and you're gonna tell me that in America is hard, and I'm in Africa. I'm not gonna believe you. I'm gonna tell you it doesn't matter what it takes. I want to see it myself. So that's why it doesn't matter what we're gonna say, it doesn't matter what people are gonna say or America are gonna say about America. African will still find their way to the United States. Imagine how many people die in the sea trying to come to Europe.
A lot
of people, right? And some activists kind of raised awareness, doing videos, doing conferences. Don't come to Europe through the sea, through the desert, it's dangerous. But guess what? It doesn't stop people. The same way you're going to see on TV that 20 people died in the sea, the next day there are another boat who is getting ready to take people to take the same trip or to take the same road. Yeah. So they can't, until you get here, you can't really feel it, you can't really understand what people are telling you.
Don't you think that is a bad advertise that our African brothers who are in Western countries are sending to other African in the continent? Because based on what we are seeing here and what they are showing us, it's like a different story.
Exactly.
But why? Can you give me like 2 or 3 elements that you think that Africans are ready to overcome the sea, the desert, just to get to America? What are those 3 things that Africans are really looking for when they come to here in America, and why America?
Like, I remember when I was back home in no, I wasn't home anymore. I was in Europe already. I think it was in 2014. There's this young lady who was pregnant with twins. And she went to hospital. She went to hospital to try to give birth. And when she got there, they asked her for money. And that lady didn't have money to pay for hospital bills before she could give birth. Guess what the doctors did? They refused to admit her. They refused to give her the opportunity to give birth and maybe take care of that bills later. And that young lady died with her twins in her belly. Why? Because her aunt, not only she couldn't hold it anymore, her auntie was trying to help her because she didn't have the money as well, took the razor blade and opened her stomach right in front of the different doctor to try to take the baby out. But she couldn't. She took the baby out, the baby was dead, and the woman died too. Wow. So, and when you try to understand why somehow someone can die because they don't have $50 to pay for hospital bills, those kind of stuff make Africans want to leave to come to the United States. Because they believe that when you get here, you have the better healthcare system. And that's true. Because when you get here, people, doctor and nurses and stuff like that, they will make sure they take care of you first before they even think about the money. They're just going to send you the bills later, but they prioritize your health, your well-being. And also, that's one of the reasons why Africans are ready to do everything to come here. The second thing the second reason I can name is school.
Okay.
We believe that someone who has a degree from the United States and someone who has a degree from my country, for example, they go look for the same job. We're going to take the one who has a degree from the United States. Sure. Even if the one from my country is better or more intelligent or more skillful than the one from the United States. Why? Because we have that mindset that everything that comes from abroad is better than what is back home, is home. So that's why some people want to do everything to come here to study, because they believe that they have good education and they will have more opportunity, not only here, because if you are good in the United States, they're going to keep you.
Yes.
So, and even if you decide to go home with your degree, you will find your way there. So that's another reason. The third reason I could mention is security. Security. In Africa, for example, if you are in your house and you get robbed, someone break into your house and try to steal your stuff and maybe try to kill you or take stuff by force, you can't call the police. Because if you call the police, if you try to call the police, they might even say they don't even have gas. They don't have gas in their car to come to rescue or to save you. So, but here in the United States, if you have issue, I remember when I was not basically in the same aspect. When I was feeling bad here, I was a little bit sick, and I needed an ambulance. When I called the 911, in the next 5 minutes, not only the police was there, but the ambulance was there. And it wasn't just one ambulance, it was 3 ambulances with police just for one person. Why? Because I was going through something. At the same time, when someone breaks into your house and you have the opportunity to call 911, as soon as they have your address, they will show up. And they will try to rescue you. So that's another reason why people want to come here. And when you drive out there, you will see there are almost security camera everywhere. Everywhere. When you go on the highway, you go left, right, there's always camera. So people feel a little bit safe here.
Not in Africa.
Yeah, so that's basically some of the reason why it doesn't matter what you're going to tell to an African, he will find his way to come here. Yeah.
And the risk of his own life.
Yeah.
You mentioned education, you mentioned healthcare, you mentioned security, and all the stuffs are really necessary. But something really intrigued me in this book, in chapter 3. I was reading that and I was really mesmerized by reading that sentence. You say, from poverty to slavery. So I have those questions because I know Africa, they picture that with something we call poverty. When you ask an American here, many of them will say when they talk about Africa, they see lions, they see zebras, they think all of us just come from the forest and we're all poor. But there is something that you say in the book, you say from poverty to slavery. What are factors that causes that transition?
Okay, when we are in Africa, what we know is poverty.
Okay.
We struggle to eat, we struggle to go to school, we struggle to have good healthcare system, we struggle to have good road, we struggle in many areas. And we live in abject poverty, and most people try to find their way out of that place to come here. But the thing is this: when after going through everything they went through, because not everybody got here or get here through like getting the visa, catching the plane and getting here. So some of them go through a lot of struggle just to get to the United States. So after getting here, we thought that we were coming to a land of freedom.
Okay.
We're coming to a land where we actually experience what we call the American dream.
Yes.
But the reality is absolutely different. When you get here, you get certain stuff really easily. For example, when I got here, the first car I drove was a car someone gave me.
Okay.
I could live in a better apartment. I had my job. I was doing fine. Until I got into the system and I understood that what I had was not actually freedom. I came to the biggest slave plantation in the world.
Wow.
When you are in Africa, you can't eat because you don't have.
Yes.
You can't go to the hospital and pay bills because you don't have. But when you get here, you have all those things, but you can't enjoy it because you have to work. So your time is controlled. Your life is controlled. You can't go on vacation when you want. You can't spend time with your family when you want. There are even certain couple, those who are married, their children are raised by daycare. Their children are raised by teacher. Their children are raised by nanny. Some of them got to the extent husband and wife live under the same roof, but they see each other only on Sunday. I know that personally because I know someone who was like that. When he come back from work, his wife is going out, and like that is all the time. And at some point, you start understand that, bro, I'm not actually really free.
Okay.
I'm a slave because I have to work every single day just to make sure I pay my bills, just to make sure I pay my car note, I pay my mortgage, I pay everything I kind of enjoy. So you leave poverty, you come into so-called abundance, but that abundance is conditioned by slavery.
It's like you, based on what you have described, it's more like America offer you things, but that things are like the sort of democlasses on your head,
exactly.
Ready to cut your neck anytime that you just do a little mistake.
Exactly. People, for example, people cannot go on vacation all the time. Why? Because if you miss 2 payments of your car, they take it back. The car you are paying, the car you enjoy. If you miss 7 payments, they take it back. If the house you live in, if you get to the point that you can't pay it anymore, they're going to take it back, even though you have been paying. That's why people have to work. You feel like you can't do nothing. You can't stop working. If you try to stop working,
you are done.
You are done. And what is it if it's not slavery? Back in the day when slavery was still, when people were still in the slave plantation and stuff like that, they were having the same thing. They were having free housing. They were authorized to eat. They could drink. They could go to church. They had their church. They could have the minimum to live, but they were not free. And now not only the slavery is physical, but it's also in our mind. Because they make sure they keep your body so busy that you don't have time to think.
Yeah.
And only people who think can escape slavery. So yeah.
Yeah, when you say that, something really caught my attention in the book that say, keep them busy so that they don't think about their lives. So there is something you said, you illustrated by saying the elephant tied to the tree. So the elephant has something on his paw, moving just in a certain direction, not having a brighter view of the world around him. So this leads me to this question: what key factor that condition many Africans to not have a wider vision in the United States?
Basically, I would say the hunger to meet our need.
Okay.
You know, there's this illustration that I used to see on Facebook. That I saw on Facebook one day. A man was riding a horse.
Okay.
And what he did, he put, I don't know if it was carrot or something.
I see the image that you're talking about. It was a donkey with a carrot tied on the tree, on the stick.
And he was putting that in front of the donkey like that, just to make him move. Yeah. So the donkey, his own motivation, his movement was motivated by the carrot he wanted to eat. So he couldn't see anything else beside that. He couldn't see anything else beside what was in front of him, because that was his reward. That was what we feed his belly. That was what we give him strength to keep moving. So that's basically what I can say African here are going through.
Okay.
Because we have that desire to get our end meet, to eat, to take care of our family, that we understood that the only way to do that is to work as slave. Because the more, what we think is that the harder you work, or the more you work, the better you get, or more money you get.
Yeah.
But that's not true. Okay. And working like that or thinking like that kind of stopping us to take a time to reflect and experience or explore other venture or explore other area that we can actually get more opportunity or more freedom from there. So that's basically what I could say about it.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that I really like. I like to question things, because questions give us opportunity to learn more. As right now, the more questions I ask you, I have a clear picture of everything that was written in this book. So you say somewhere the motion is different from progress. What is the greatest danger of having motion without progress? In America, many people use the expression, I am busy, I am busy, I am busy. You call them, I am busy. You describe that. But for you, what is the greatest danger of having motion without progress? Because you say many Africans have motion, but they don't have progress. What's the difference? What is the greatest danger when you move without progress?
Okay. So, I don't know if you experienced it already, have you been to some place, or have you met people who have been here for a really long time, but they don't really have anything to show for it? People who have been living here, they have everything, they are citizens, they have everything, but they don't have anything tangible to show for it. People, for example, like you said earlier, if you call someone in the United States here, I need something, or I need you to help me with this thing, I'm busy. Why you don't come to church? I'm busy. Why you don't go to school? I'm busy. Why you don't do this? I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. Everybody feel like they are busy. They are busybody, but when you scan or you check their life, they don't have nothing tangible to show for it. Motion is when you are busy without producing anything. Okay. And when you are busy on the wrong thing, because you can be busy doing wrong thing that will not make you have any kind of progress. There are some people who came here in less. I'm not saying that it's competition. There's no competition, but there's some people who came here. For example, you came here after me, but you was able to achieve a lot. You was able to go to school, get your degree. You actually more ahead of people who have been here for years. Why? Because you was not just in motion. You was in motion in the right direction. You was busy doing the right thing. Because most people are busy doing stuff that don't move them to the right direction.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter how energy, it doesn't matter, it's not because you spend a lot of energy, you put a lot of effort, that means that you're actually moving or progressing in your life. So that's basically what I could say, that motion is totally different from progress. You can be in motion and not progressing.
Okay. I have a question there. You talked about tangible elements of showing progress. For you, based on your experience, what are some elements, just give me two, if you can, that when you see it to someone that is from Africa and is here, and you see him doing that or having that, oh, let me rephrase it. Is your progress more in terms of having or in terms of impacting people around you? I would get it like that.
Okay.
I think that sounds more better than that.
Yeah, I will actually add a third thing on this.
Yeah.
Progress is not just, I could say it goes to the three things. First, it's in terms of having.
Okay.
Secondly, is a term of impacting. Okay. And thirdly, is in the term of becoming. Okay. Because when you decide to progress or you decide to move in the right direction, you become. And when you become, you have the possibility to have. Okay. And when you have the possibility to have, you can impact. Okay. So basically, people here, if I could say that someone is progressing, or someone is not just busy at the wrong thing, I would say, if you get here, if I meet someone who is trying to escape, for example, from the right race, by maybe starting a business, your wife, for example, she has a business that she came after a lot of people, but she came and she was able to see an opportunity and she started business. That's what I can say someone is moving, someone is progressing. For example, when you come here, you say, okay, I don't just want to work the way I work, maybe I need to go back to school to get my degree and try to have more opportunity. This is what I could say, making progress. But if you're going to tell me that the only time you say you are busy is doing what you do from Monday to Saturday, and there is no creativity, there is no betterness, there is no opportunity, there is no growth, you're not becoming a better person, you are still the same person you were still just arrived here. That's the problem. For me, you are busy, you are making motion, but you are not progressing.
I will take one of your, I will quote you. You say it in a book. You say, one of the dumbest advice you have received when you move here in America is they told you, do 2-3 jobs since you are young and you're going to make it to build your house in Africa. What do you say about that? You just say the dumbest, but I want you to elaborate more about that thing. Because we hear that, oh, you're young, you can do 2-3 jobs.
Exactly.
Why do you call that advice stupid?
Because people sometimes think that if you are young today, you'll be young forever.
Okay.
That advice made me understand that the fact that you have been in the United States for 30 years doesn't mean that you are smarter than me or you know better than me. Okay. And that's the advice they show to people who just got here, especially when they are young. You can't tell me that because I'm young, I have to do 2 or 3 jobs, that's how I'm going to make it. There are people here who do 4 jobs and they don't make it.
That's killing your body.
It's killing your body. Because the fact that you are strong today, the energy, the strength you have right now, doesn't mean that you will have the same energy in 5, 10, 15 years. And people grab that advice and they run with it. You will see people say, okay, I do this job, I did this job from this time to that time, and after that, I'm going to that time. In the world we live right now, hard work is not enough. Working hard will not necessarily make you successful because we work hard.
Yes.
The African people are some of the hard working people I ever met. They work really hard, but why they are not successful? Some of our parents in Africa work really hard. they kill themselves just to make sure we have the minimum, or we can eat, we can have a better life. But they are not successful, they are not rich, they are not what, they don't have what we could say rich ending. But so that should question the fact that you cannot work 2 to 3 jobs having in your mind that doing like that is going to make you successful. Especially in this economy, especially in this country. There are people who work 1 job. Some people work even 4 hours or 5 hours a week, and they are millionaires.
Yeah. Okay, that's really amazing.
You can talk about working hard when you actually discover a niche or a particular problem that you think that you can solve with your skill and your ability. Then if someone is if someone is in the same area with you and is working 1 hour a day, 1 hour, you can work 4 hours, not just to overrule him, just to overtake him or take all the customers. That's the only way I can say that you work hard. You work hard on something, you work hard on your vision, on your passion, on your dream. Yes, but if he's working 1 to 3 jobs and you're going to make it, it's not true. It's dumb.
So saying like that leads me to something, just to think about something that I will quote the Bible. The Bible say, "My people perish because they lack vision." So based on your explanation, I will try to say that people who are doing those 3, 4, 5 jobs, it's more a question of lacking vision than having one. So this leads me to this question. Do you think that vision is something given by a spiritual entity, like someone that comes to you, give you something that create a certain drive, or vision is something created from a place of passion and desire to change things? Because it looks like those people, immigrants that you are talking about, myself included, yourself included, is more a question of vision, to have one that can be a way out. We will get to the way out, but I want you to answer that question. Is it something that is given to you, or something that you create from a place of passion and desire to change things?
Okay, I will answer this question this way. I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. Okay. So I believe that I believe in God, and I believe that everything on this planet was created for a purpose.
Yes.
Like either the microphone that we are using right now was created for us to have this podcast so that our listener can listen to it very well. So everything from trees to grass, from snow, rain, sun, all of that were created for a particular purpose. Okay. Man also was created for a purpose. It was created by God for a purpose. And so I strongly believe that in each and every one of us, there is a purpose that God has placed. There is a mission in our life. I can't talk about vision without talking about purpose. Okay. Because vision derives from purpose.
They are inseparable.
Exactly, they are inseparable. Okay. You can, when you have your purpose, when you discover your purpose, when you know why you was created, when you know why you are on this planet at this particular time, from that you can craft your vision. Okay. So I believe that vision is something, a purpose is something that was given from God. I'm not going to say a spiritual entity, I will say from God. Okay. So it was given from God, and God gave us the possibility or the sign or signal in order for us to discover that, or to unleash, or to find it. How? By, for example, problem that we feel like we are called to solve. Passion that we have to certain things. Because you agree with me that people don't share necessarily the same passion. Yes. People don't share the same burden. People are not attracted to the same situation. People are not challenged by the same problem. Right? So it means that each and every one of us, we have our purpose from God, but our passion is craft based from our purpose. Our vision, our vision is how we see ourselves fulfilling that purpose in the future.
Okay.
It's the image that we have of ourselves fulfilling that vision in the next 5, 10, 20, until we leave this earth. Because when God gives you a purpose, He's going to give you a blueprint or a general idea of how that vision or that purpose is going to look like. And that general idea gives you is your vision. Now, to get from your purpose to your vision, that's where you have to set goals. You have to build a team up around you. You have to go through different steps to kind of fulfill that vision. But everything starts with the purpose. And that purpose is given by God.
Okay, it's something that is given. So everybody, I think the challenge right now, African in this country, you have to ask yourself the question, why am I here on this land?
Yeah.
Many people tried the same adventure like you, they died, they never make it. But you made it. You have to ask yourself the question, why am I here?
Yeah.
By discovering that, as our author today say, you will craft a vision, setting goals that are consistent, and a plan that will lead you to what God wants you to have in this land.
Yeah, I'm going to add a little bit to what you just said, because most people, I like the fact you say some of them tried the same adventure that like some of us, and they died. They never made it. So if you went through all of that and got into this country, just to walk the way you walk, you will have just stayed in Africa.
Wow. Wow.
Because the same kind of work, maybe not the same kind, but the same energy you are putting here to work the way you do, other people in Africa are doing the same thing. So what is the difference? The difference is just the geographical location, but the ways and the meaning are not different. So if you can leave Africa going through all of that and get here and keep living the way you are living, there's something missing. You should be able to have a broad and a better understanding of your presence on this country. You should understand that you are not here just to make a living. You are not just here to work a 9-to-5 job, working every day until you die, or build a house in Africa, a house that... Can you imagine that some people actually build house in Africa, but they don't actually live in it? They spend millions of francs CFA. They spend thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in houses in Africa, putting car over there. But they never, some of them go in Africa 2 or 3 times every 6 years. Who is living there? So if all your goal, all you want is to live that kind of life, you should rethink everything, because there is something greater and bigger upon your life that God has placed.
I like the fact that in the book you made a huge difference between ambition and vision. So I think many Africans are ambitious, but they are not visionary.
Exactly.
Do you consider yourself a visionary?
I'm a visionary. I'm a visionary because when you are ambitious, right? When you're ambitious, you're thinking about yourself.
Okay.
When you are a visionary, you're thinking about others. And someone who is ambitious can make you start working, but vision will keep you going.
Okay.
You can have someone who is ambitious, we say, I have to make money. I have to do this to take care of myself, to take care of my family. That's absolutely good. That's good. But everything that starts and finishes with you is ambition. Everything that starts with you and finishes with others is vision. That's why most people, when they die, everything they build die with them, end with them, right? But when you are someone who is not only purpose driven, but a visionary, you feel like whatever you're starting right now is not going to end with you. Some other people will take over and continue to build or advance whatever you started. So that's basically what I could say.
Yeah. There is somewhere you talked about information, and most of us immigrants, when we come here, we usually end up in communities like Ivory Coast community, Cameroonian, Congolese, all those kind of community. But we know information are important when it comes to finding your landmarks in this country.
Yeah.
Do you think that our communities are a good place of getting information that can set you on your track to succeeding in this country?
I would say not really, honestly.
Yeah.
Not really. Why? Because among us are really few people who actually set an example that we want to follow.
Okay.
When we get here, I can't say that living in community is bad. It's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. But it limits ourselves.
Okay.
When we get to the United States, most of us, we try to look for people who look like us or who speak our language, who will make us feel like we are home. But we are not home anymore. And if you want to be successful in any land you go, you should find yourself among the people of the land.
Okay.
You should find yourself among people who were born here, who grew up here, who understand the system better than you. Why? Because they will give you the right information.
Okay.
If I wanted to live, I really love people from my country. I love them so much. But if I really wanted to spend just my time with them, I would just stay in my country. I would stay there. Mm-hmm. So if I came to the United States, I want to understand how the American system works. And the best person to teach me or to teach me how it works is American.
Okay.
And you will see, when you get here, nobody can rise above his level of understanding, right? So when you get here, you meet people from your community. They will just teach you what they know.
Okay.
They will teach you what they have been exposed to, and sometimes they have not been exposed to better things. Mm-hmm. So, and someone, for example, like myself, who spent some years in Europe before coming here, I came here with a different vision, and I'm sure that you as well, because when you came here, you had absolutely different vision from whatever other African have here. So when we came here, we didn't really see someone who could really trigger us among our community to do better. So we had to find our own ways to make sure we do beyond what they have done. Okay. And I respect what they have done. I respect what they have achieved. That's what they know. That's what they knew. Especially parents. We are so grateful to them because they sacrificed everything to come here because they wanted to give us a better life, a better future. But it's our responsibility right now to raise above those limitations that sometimes we can find amongst us, and to go out there to find the right information, because right information are out there. There are certain stuff you are able to do that you can do in this country, but you will not know if you don't have the right information. And sometimes that right information is not among your people.
Based on what you say, I think it's more a problem of integration, which we can tie to the language.
Exactly.
Is our communities disadvantaging us from learning the language and integrate more to this society?
I love that question. I love that question so much because I feel like it's one of the core problems that we have as Africans.
Okay.
If you ask in this town, for example, where are Senegalese? They will tell you community Senegalese is in that neighborhood. Congolese Senegalese is in that neighborhood. Cameroonian community, they are in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So most of us, and you will see, most of us, African immigrants, we have a problem speaking the language or speaking English. Why? Because most of the time we are with our people, and when we are with our people, what do we speak? The language that makes us comfortable, that makes us stay in our comfort zone, that makes us not trying to do better stuff. If, for example, I speak Lingala and I'm among Congolese, the language I will try to speak and I will feel comfortable speaking will be Lingala.
Yes.
I will speak. And if imagine I live with Congolese and I go to work, I work with Congolese. What do you think I'm going to speak all the time? I'm going to speak Lingala all the time. That's why you will see some people that is their children who help them translate stuff. Okay. Children who were born here. They came here they have been here for 20 years, but they can't speak the language. And living in a country where you can't speak the language is a big mistake that most of us make. You can't live in a country and you don't speak the language. If you don't speak the language, you're not going to have the right information. If you don't have the right information, you're not going to have opportunities. And if you don't have opportunity, you're not going to grow. You're not going to expand yourself. You're not going to expand your network. You're not going to know where the money is, where the right position is, or where the opportunity is. So, not learning the language, staying only among ourselves, hurt us more than it does good to us.
So, I think our communities, Congolese, Cameroonian, all the African communities, please help our fellow African to learn the language. Because we see that integration in this country is based on that.
Yeah.
And the value of information, the value of things are found in information. Yeah. So if we can find good information, it would lead us to be on track. Because I see communities like Indian communities, I see Pakistani communities, they speak the language, besides the English being broken, but they still speak it.
Yeah, exactly.
When I pick my phone, I call, for example, Spectrum or whatever company just to go to their customer service. Usually they're Indians.
Exactly.
And the question I always ask myself, where are our fellow Africans?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Please, communities, help us with programs. Do you think that the community should be developing some kind of programs, some kind of structures where people comes to really enforce that people learn English to give them better chance to succeed?
Exactly.
Do you think
exactly there is a huge need for that? Because sometimes I feel like African, we don't learn the language because of the accent. Sometimes we don't understand well what maybe American, how they pronounce stuff, how they speak. Sometimes we don't understand very well what they say, and so that stops us from actually trying or making an effort to do better. But if an African who mastered the language already, who not only mastered the native language, master French and master English, put in place a structure and a program where he can teach Africans, where he can teach English to Africans, I think it's going to be a great thing. For example, I think you started something. You started something that is just so amazing. I feel like if we spread that word, we spread that out there, it's going to be a great blessing for most Africans, because they can see themselves in you, they can relate to you, they can connect with you, and I feel like they will be more attracted to you, especially if you make them understand the value or the necessity for them to learn the language.
Yeah, so I think it's really important for us to give ourselves to learning English. It's very important, so that we get better chances to move. So we are moving little by little. So, and I'm going to ask you these questions. You give us all the problems that we have. I know you enumerated a lot of things, a lot of problems, lack of racism, you talked about that, you talked about lack of information, financial information, we talked about the value of information, and information are found in the language of the land, which is English. So now, I know you wrote a lot of them, but I want you to give us 3 things, and I want you to elaborate to be more explicit in that way out that we can have. There are many of them. I've read in the Bible, in the book, something like 7 maximum that you have written way out that we can use to escape from the system, because you talked about a system that is designed to keep you a slave, that's going to squeeze you like a cow getting all the milk that you have, and you will have nothing till you will just find yourself in the grave. And I like the fact that you talked about the grave, because when you're done, the grave is the last place that is waiting for you there. So give us way out.
Okay.
Because We want to know those way outs that we can implement right now. So I want you to give it in terms of priority. Like, imagine someone that gets here, an immigrant, 25, 24, 20, whatever, even 33, 35. He gets here today in America. Okay. What are things that you will give to him to avoid the system that will crush him tomorrow? Okay.
The first thing I will say is to learn the language.
Okay.
Learning the language is the foundation of everything in this country. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. The language is the foundation. You have to learn the language. If you just got here or you are even thinking of coming here, you have to make sure that the first thing you try to look, especially if you are not working at that time, make sure you learn the language. I can't emphasize on it enough, because like we said earlier, if you know the language, you will have more opportunity. You will have the better information. You will know where to go. You will know how to do stuff. You will know a lot of stuff just by learning the language. The second thing that I will say is, when you start working, work not only to earn, but work to learn. Okay. Because most of the time when we go to work and you work with people from different background, different ethnicity, different countries, just the fact that you're exposed to them, we teach you how to manage people. Yes. We teach you how to deal with people who think different than you. We teach you how to build your patience, how to handle conflict. And those stuff, we don't necessarily learn that at home, because sometimes at home, we let stuff go because we are friends, because we are brother. But there are people who, it doesn't matter what you're gonna say, they're gonna challenge you. Yes. They're gonna say you are wrong. They're gonna treat you bad. So how are you gonna handle that? Those are some of the stuff that you learn at work. So also, working teach you discipline. Imagine waking up every day at 4 a.m. for 5 years, every single day.
I can do that only for work.
Exactly. Like even your body makes you work without your alarm goes off. Why? Because it's part of your body and it builds discipline. You know that either you are tired or you are not, you have to get to wake up. You have to get up, dress up, and go to work. Or imagine that same discipline, you put that in your business, in your own goals, in your own passion, in your own venture. Imagine how powerful you will be. Because most people give up, not because they are not motivated, but because they lack discipline. Okay. So working sometimes for some people or so for someone else, we build that thing in you. The third thing that I could add is, if you are still young, make sure you get an education. Okay. And I will encourage people to have 2 education. What? I say formal education and informal education. Okay. Formal education is what you go to school to get a degree, if you can. Or if you can't go to school, go to a training center where you can get some skills. And the other education you should have that is informal is self-education. Most people don't have time to take a book and read. And I like what Jim Rohn said. He said formal education will give you a living, but self-education will give you a fortune. Yeah. Because the formal education is designed to give you a certain type of skill that are rewarded with the degree that you get at the end. But self-education is actually what you choose to learn. Yes. What you choose to study. And what you choose to study usually is what you are passionate about. What you believe that God has called you to do. What you believe that is your purpose and your mission. Everybody, if you take a book to read, it's so hard to read that if you see someone who take a book to read, it's because he's passionate about whatever he's reading. And Yeah, that's what I could say. And we live in a world right now that you don't need to take a book right now like to read. There are audio books. There are a lot of ways to learn. There are YouTube and stuff like that. Make sure to tie to your formal education, self-education.
Yeah, I like the fact that you mentioned education and everything. And I like in one part in this book, this amazing book, you talked about the fact that many Africans are more into manufacturing job, and based on studies, those jobs are going to disappear soon because they are going to be automated by robot who will be taking human place. So that leads me to think that to escape what is coming, Africans has to develop a pioneer mentality. And I like the fact that today we are in a pioneer academy. What do you say about that? How do you elaborate more about that? How would you encourage African to develop that mentality? Because the risk is in front of us. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's already happening. So what do you think? How will you encourage African for the danger that is coming? How to craft that mentality? Because you talked about it in the book.
Exactly. And if you remember the day I released this book, our pastor, Pastor Romeo, he elaborated a little bit more also about that thing. I believe that if it's inevitable, like the AI, the coming of AI, robot and stuff, everything will be automatic. So most of the stuff that we consider as our job, something that we cherish so much, will disappear. So what we have to do is to increase our value in the marketplace. Is to be able to switch from what we used to know to adapt ourselves to what is coming. Because whatever we know right now will be outdated in the next 3 to 5 years. So if we keep having the same mentality that what we are doing right now is good for us and it will last forever, we'll be out of job in no time and we'll not even feel it, we'll not even understand it. Right now, for example, I made some research. There's this thing called AI engineering.
Okay.
Like those people, what they do, they use stuff like ChatGPT to write prompts for either for businesses, companies. Like they can automate your whole business just by providing you some prompt that you're going to integrate with AI, and AI will just run the stuff without you being there.
It's called automation and orchestration. That's how it's called.
Exactly. So, and I was shocked that people and AI engineer make at least 300,000 a year. So imagine someone decide to go into that area right now and decided to be a best or to get the skill he needs and start preparing himself, positioning himself to that lane, to where the job market is going. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. People should not sleep on their bed thinking that whatever they are doing right now is still going to be there. When you get here, everything you want, like they send you to manufacturing job, you work, and you think it's going to be there forever. No, you have to be able to increase our value in the marketplace. You have to be able to grow. You have to be able to make research where the market is going, what is changing, what is moving, and we only be able to have all those information again if you know the language.
So yeah, it turns everything, like they say, everything rises and falls on leadership. And
exactly.
Here in America, everything rises and falls on the language.
Yeah.
So I think as African, we have to learn the language and also being aware of what's going on in the world right now, because it would be shocking to just wake up and one day to give you a call, hey, it's over. Yeah. It's a robot who's doing your job. But if you have increased your value, as our author tonight is saying, increasing your value is giving you more opportunities and doors to change. And it's also about adaptation and adjustment, which are important right now. So I will give you the last word First of all, before I give you that, I will encourage everybody to get this book. This is an amazing book. Today it was just a review, few questions from this book. There are many more. I just choose some few parts just to ask our author to give us his ideas or what he's thinking about it. But there is a section here that it's called bonus. I'm not going to ask any questions about it, but I would like you to go online and find this and get it, and you will find that is a gold. It's actually an Eldorado of information for you as an African immigrant in the United States. So I'm going to give you the word. What would you say to our fellow African? Because this is your last word for tonight.
I'll just say you have to understand that you didn't make it that far, going through everything you went through to just live a basic and ordinary life. You have been called for great things, for great life, for great purpose. And you have to work with that in your mindset, that your life in this country will be better if you decide to take total responsibility of it. And like the title say, Eldorado or a graveyard is a choice that you have. You either live in the graveyard, end in the graveyard, or you experience the Eldorado, the American dreams that you have always been dreaming about. So, yeah, that's what I can say. Everything is in your hand. Do what you need to do, pay the price, and thank me later.
Pay the price, do whatever it takes, and you will thank him later. It was Pioneer Academy Podcast tonight with Franck Mbedja with the amazing book, America, Eldorado, or Graveyard for African Immigrants. See you next time, and God bless you.